What's going on, guys? Gomes here, back again on another MLB The Show 20 Diamond Dynasty video. Today is going to be a return of a series I wanted to do last year but didn't end up following suit, and that is going to be MLB The Show Mythbusters. In this one, we're going to see how much the catching attribute really matters. We looked at this last year, but there's a lot of things that have changed. A complete overhaul to the catcher blocking system and a fix of the ball going right through you, which was a huge glitch last year. Thankfully, they fixed it this year. So this is a very in-depth video talking about different tiers of the rating and how much it differs. So this video took a long time, a very long time. Make sure to leave a like down below if you guys do enjoy. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Been killing it with the support. Keep it going. Ton of great more tips, content, gameplay, anything you can think of probably on this channel. So what I did is I went into a play now 6 times and I threw 600 balls in the dirt, had 600 block attempts, all with the same player, Buster Posey. Last year you guys told me that there were some variables. They had different defense ratings, whether it be fielding, reaction, and while there's no proof or no evidence that that actually correlates to blocking, it is a variable, so everybody's going to be Buster Posey just except for different block ratings. We did this test with a 45 block rating, a 60 block, a 70 block, an 80 block, a 90 block, and a 99 block. And as we go on through this video, I'm going to give you guys some players that have these block ratings within Diamond Dynasty so you can get a sense of who has what kind of results. First things first, what is a successful block? I outlined the boundary in what, in my opinion, is a good block. You keep it in front of you, you keep it within arm's reach, you don't let it go behind you. Anything within that red, I constituted as a good block. Here's a couple examples of good blocks. Keeps it right in front of him, able to get it. Here's another example. This one right over, still in the batter's box, not having to move far. This one's behind him, but he can just reach his arm around, so I consider that a good block. This, of course, is not a good block. It takes him a while to get over there, and of course if it goes behind him, and if you keep it in front of you, it is a good block unless it goes that far. Otherwise, it is considered a good block. Here's Buster Posey, like I said, 45 blocking. The guy with 45 blocking in the game. Team Affinity in live series, Carlos Santana. I really wanted to do this. I was interested to see how viable he would be behind the plate, and he does have 45 blocking, if you guys did not know, verified by daddyleagues.com. And what I did, and you'll notice a couple times in these clips, times where the catcher just catches the ball, he doesn't actually do a block motion. That is not counted. It is 100 actual block attempts, and through 100 attempts for the 45 blocking Buster Posey, he blocked 52 of them, or 52%. That is not that good. That is just barely over half the balls in the dirt, and that is very detrimental. Now, in a case of a guy like Carlos Santana who has pretty good hitting stats, I think it can kind of counteract a bit, but I don't think that card in particular, because there's no other cards with 45 blocking you're gonna even consider starting at your catcher spot. Him in particular, I don't think is really worth it, because I think there's better catchers that are also going to not be such a liability for you on defense. So like I said, I don't think anybody else really has this block rating, but I was very curious to see how good he could do. And you'll see in the clip, sometimes he does hold his own, but a lot of them. And you know what I mentioned as far as a good block, and I still didn't count one that is kind of far away to one of his sides. For the 45 overall, he had a lot behind him. Next up, we're going to be talking about a 60 block rating. Once again, same stats on Buster Posey just to keep it consistent. I also want to make a note, for every time we're pitching Drew Smiley, we're throwing curveballs in the dirt every time. Sometimes they're to the left, to the right, or in the middle, but I mix it up for every catcher's and I try to make it consistent. So for the 60 block rated catcher, he blocked 68 times, which is is a significant improvement. Of course, that is 16 more blocks than the 45 rated catcher was, and guys with close block ratings are Mitch Garver at a 59 and Gary Sanchez at a 66. So if you're ever concerned about using a guy like Gary Sanchez because you don't think he's going to be good defensively, 7 times out of 10, that is pretty solid considering the bat he has as well. So do not be deterred. That is pretty solid overall, and I think it is definitely viable, and that's what I like to see. It really sheds light on how good a catcher can be with their blocks. There's more advanced analytics I'm going to be talking about later on in this video, speaking about how many more blocks you get for each attribute point. For this one, compared to the 45 block rating, you had 16 more blocks for 15 more attribute points, which equals about 10.666 repeated blocks per 10 attribute points, which is going to be consistent with the rest of what we're going to do. And it's pretty interesting. I'll show you what that number is actually going to mean as we progress and keep going down this. Next up, 70 blocking Buster Posey. Like I said, once again, same statistics on him. We just changed up the jersey, so you know it's a different scene. And this one was not very drastic. Once again, 100 balls in the dirt, 100 block attempts. This Buster Posey was 70 block rating, only blocked 71 balls, only a 3 block increase compared to the 60 block rating. A couple guys with 70 block on the dot is going to be the classics Gary Sanchez from the XP reward path and live series Wilson Contreras. And like I said, this is kind of a significant drop off. This is only 3 more blocks you're getting for 10 more block attribute rating. So a guy like Gary Sanchez, who's considerably better than Wilson Contreras offensively and is going to stop only 3 less balls or about 5% less than him, that is really solid. Of course, I would like to do 1,000 balls per to make it more of a battle-tested test, but unfortunately I don't have that kind of time. 100 is still a really good amount, and that is pretty interesting. It's not that much of an increase. Of course, it's 5 less attribute points, but only 3 more blocks. That is not very good. I was really expecting a lot more from that kind of jump because 60 is a bronze rating compared to 70 being a silver rating for defensive purposes. So I was a little bit disappointed as far as that one goes. Next up, moving on to our 80 block rating. This is going to be kind of like a couple guys, like the 99 Craig Biggio. If you put him at catcher, he's going to have 79 block. Like the Yasmani Grandal live series, who has an 83. Adley Rutschman, who has an 85 block rating. And the team affinity Yadier Molina has an 85 block rating as well. The 80 block rating catcher for Buster Posey, once again, he stopped 76 balls that we threw, the same test that we did for all the rest of them, which is 5 more blocks than the 70 rated block catcher did, for 10 more points. So that is a little bit better, but once again, not a huge increase. And you're going to notice that the only significant jump that we had throughout this entire test was from the 45 to a 60, which is for a couple reasons that would be considered a common rating defensively compared to a bronze at a 60, and also the fact that it is 15 points compared to 10 points that we're adding and subtracting to the block rating. So once again, pretty interesting. If you were to think about the 99 Craig Biggio, that is 3/4 of the balls in the dirt you are going to be able to block, and that is pretty solid percentage wise. Once again, it's not a significant upgrade, so if your one worry is defense, to go from a guy like Gary Sanchez to Yadier Molina, there's no reason to, because they're virtually the same, just a couple more balls they're going to stop. And once again, Yadier Molina isn't going to have close to the same bat that Gary Sanchez is, and that's why I like to add some guys who have those similar block ratings. Next up, 90. This is some of the highest we're going to see, and this is where we start to see a pretty significant jump, actually the highest one since the 45 to a 60. The 90 block rating catcher stopped 83 balls, 83%, which is a 7 block increase from the 80 rated blocking catcher, for once again 10 points more on the block rating. money. And guys that have this are going to be Johnny Bench, the new one that just came out in the headliners recently, as well as the Joey Bart. They both have 90 block rating, I am pretty sure. So once again, this is a bit bigger of a boost, which is good to see because you want this to actually matter. And that's the title of this video. So it's kind of trending towards it doesn't matter as much as you think it would, because if we right now were to look from 90 to 70, that's only 12 more blocks for 20 points. You got to think about that sometime. Is it worth having a minus guy offensively like Johnny Bench compared to a guy like Gary Sanchez if he's just going to stop 12 more balls in the dirt? You kind of have to play with those statistics. You don't play with the balls though. Don't get that twisted. I'm tired of getting called out for saying sus stuff. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Balls in the dirt. Baseballs. Okay, moving on, but you guys can tell this is pretty interesting. This has been pretty fun so far. We're about to move on to our 99 block rating, which nobody technically has, but we still gave it. This is Buster Posey, and funny enough, the only guys who have the closest to that are Buster Posey, the 99 MVP, and the 87 Team Affinity. They both have 95, but that is closer to 99 than it is 90, so I think they fit the test. And this, of course, did the best overall. They stopped 89 baseballs in the dirt, nearly 90%, or 9 out of 10 balls that I threw in the dirt. When they had a block attempt, they would stop it. They would keep it in front of them. They would prevent it from going behind them, and they just did significantly better than the rest. Once again, it's only 6 more blocks compared to a guy with a 90 rating, but you know, now if we look from 70 compared to a 90, that is a more significant jump. That is 18 more blocks compared to a 70 rating. So at that point, it's almost 20, which is, you know, a fifth more of the time that they're going to make a block. So that's the results that we have. We're going to get into a little bit more analytics here in a second. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, there might still be some mishaps, of course, user error, but I tried my best to make sure there are no variables, make it consistent for each and every subject that we did test. And now that we're at the end of it, it is time to have our conclusions. So we did all the tests, we found all the results, and these are some analytics to look for. So the average blocks that you gain for adding 10 more points onto your block rating, that's what I was keep referencing, is 6.333 repeated blocks for a plus 10 on your block rating. So going from a guy from 70 block to an 80 block, on average, they're going to have about 6.5 more blocks, and the median for that is right around the same thing. It would be 6 blocks, so anywhere between 6.5 blocks is what you can expect, and that would be the difference between going from somebody like Johnny Bench to going to somebody like the Craig Biggio. So in general, what do I think about this? I think if we were to consider a minus 10, a 80 compared to a 70 block, it's not really going to be much of a difference. Like I said, if you consider only 6 times out of 100 that they're going to block more the 80 rated blocking catcher compared to the 70. Like I said, once again, an 80 being like he is Monty Grandal compared to the classics Gary Sanchez, you are getting a much better bat, and it's not going to be that big of a change defensively. So in my opinion, when it is between minus 10, minus 15, maybe minus 20 block rating, it is actually worth it because there isn't going to be that significant of a change in how many blocks you're going to get compared to the higher rated catcher. I wouldn't exactly say this was fun, but it was interesting and educational. Yeah, science. But it sheds a whole lot more light on the catcher block rating position that I'm sure you were worried about previously, and now know that a minus 10 block rating really isn't that big of a deal. So if you guys have anything else you guys would like me to test in the game, whether it be how much an attribute matters, different gameplay tactics, that's what I want to do on this Mythbusters series. They're going to take time, but I think they're very cool videos and they're going to help you guys out a ton. Now, if you guys did enjoy this one, make sure to leave a like down below, subscribe if you guys have not yet to the channel, and thank you all for watching this one. Hope you guys have a great day. There goes Yates.